be discussing with you designing games for learning. Designing games for learning can be a really big asset to the classroom. You can work with games at any age, whether it be in elementary school or junior high school. You can even go to college level with games. They never get boring. So why use learning games? Well, games usually promote more motivation. When people know that they're going to earn something, learners feel a sense of accomplishment. So if they're getting points or they're getting a badge of some sort or a prize, people tend to put a little more effort in. You can also improve student attentiveness. When you keep students engaged, they're usually more entertained. They find learning more fun, and therefore having a little friendly competition will sometimes enhance what they're learning. It also encourages critical thinking. Students can learn they can use their working memory to solve issues by using different tactics, and they can work together as a team as well. It also improves overall learning outcomes. Games teach problem-solving skills, critical thinking, and collaboration with better understanding of teamwork achieved by students. So how do you plan a game, or how do you create a game? Step one would be planning. You have to define the game concept, create a vision and a mission statement, identify your target audience, and outline the scope of the project. You also need to establish a budget and a timeline. So whether you're creating a game that is online or perhaps interactive with a computer, or you're creating a board game, something that your students can play with hands-on in the classroom, you are going to need to be sure that you follow all of these guidelines. No matter which type of game you're going to be creating, you are going to need to have a checklist. Step two, pre-production, shaping the game. So you're going to have to flesh out the game. This means that you're going to have to come up with what you want the game to have. Do you want to have cards? Do you want to, if you're doing an interactive game online, what type of characters do you want in the game? Creating the storyline is also important. Do you want this to be some kind of a castle saga, or for instance, the way they do Minecraft, where you have to build certain things. You have to come up with some type of storyline you'd like to follow for the game. Designing characters. What's going to engage students? You can either, like I said, do something on the computer, or if you're doing a game that's going to be hands-on, you can also develop characters that way. Mapping out the game mechanics. You want to see how things are going to work, and you also want to try things out to make sure everything unfolds seamlessly. Step three, prototyping. This is optional. So if you do have an online game and you're thinking that you want to present it, you want to make sure that you test the game's feasibility. Is this going to work? I mean, are people really going to relate to it? Are students really going to like it? Also, you need to identify any issues you might have when you're in gameplay. If there are issues, it's probably a good idea to work those out. Step four, the actual work production. So you want to create the game assets, program all of the mechanics of the game, design levels, and create sound effects and music. Now, if you're playing in the classroom, this could mean that you might be using an interactive buzzer. Perhaps you're playing music of your own. And if you are not in the classroom and you're playing interactively on the computer, this could mean that you have a playlist that you'd like to play during the game. Or perhaps you'd like to have different designs for different levels. This is something that you'll have to decide as you move along with the game process. Step five, testing and polishing. You want to identify and fix any bugs, collect any feedback from testers, and feature freeze. So if there are any bugs, this is the time that you want to iron everything out. You want to be sure that when you do present the game to your students, everything runs smoothly. Getting feedback from people who are trying out the game helps tremendously, because you'll be able to see what works and what doesn't. This goes for not only board games, but also for games that are interactive or on the computer. Step 6, pre-launch. You want to create marketing materials. You want to develop a launch pad, set up distribution channels, and conduct beta testing. These are all very important steps because we want to make sure that everything flows well. If you don't go step by step and you don't develop any type of launch pad or set up any distribution channels, things might go awry and they might not be as successful as you would hope. Now, if you are doing a game that's inside the classroom, things may be a little bit different. You'd have to choose what's best for your environment. Step 7, launching the game. You want to promote the game, manage player feedback, and address issues that arise. So if you have a game that you're promoting online, it's very important that you take to heart any feedback that people are giving you. When you manage this type of feedback, this will help you improve your game. The same goes for games that might be in the classroom. If you are on a hands-on environment and you're playing a game that students might be using, for example, with cards or building blocks, you also need to listen to what they have to say. Step 8, post-release. You want to monitor player feedback and see if the continued process is successful. You want to address bugs and issues as they come, and you want to release patches and updates while managing the game's community. This primarily goes for games that are interactive or on the computer. Now, when you release patches and updates, this means that you correct any issues that you might be having within the game. This also addresses any bugs. Now, when you monitor player feedback, things may change as you go along. If you are doing a hands-on game in the classroom, you may not have to deal with this as much. In conclusion, games can come in many forms. You can choose the option that suits your learning environment best. You can either do a hands-on game or you can choose to do computer or interactive. The choice is yours, but either way, you're going to get really good outcomes in the classroom. Here's a list of my sources, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch.